welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to be using the DaVinci Pro Panels Ultra Smooth Gesso Panels. This I get from jerrysartarama.com and they look like this. They are natural wood color on the sides and on the back, and these are very nice to use with gouache, but today we're using them with resin. Special thanks to the Epoxy Resin store for sending me this resin to show you guys. I'm gonna leave a link in the description box where you can get this and a coupon code for a 20% off your order. To protect my desk, I'm using a clear curtain from the dollar store, and I'm also using a mixing cup from the dollar store. Now I like to use this one because you can let the resin cure inside and then you can peel it off the next morning very easily. Here I'm mixing half a cup of resin and half a cup of hardener. This specific resin is 1:1 ratio, but follow the instructions on your resin. Now we're going to mix for 3 to 5 minutes or until resin is no longer cloudy and it looks clear. I like to tap my measuring cup against the table for the bubbles to come up, and then that way it's easier to get rid of them. For this project I'm using frog tape. Now you're gonna see that at the end it didn't work as expected. I don't know if it was me or it was the canvas. This is the first time I'm using it, so I'm not sure what happened, but it did get into the sides a little. I don't mind, but if you do, you have to check for other options. Now I'm using 5 small cups also from the dollar store, and I'm using these amazing pigments from the Epoxy Resin store. Again, I'm gonna leave a link in the description box with all the info. And we're also going to be using white alcohol ink. Now I'm going to divide my resin into all the cups, and this is something very important. You need to add the pigments, and then you need to add a couple drops of alcohol ink into each color. Why? Because this is what is going to activate the pigments to create the cells. The alcohol reacts to the pigments, and then the cells are created. Now here I'm using a couple drops of blue and then a couple drops of green, and I'm trying to create a darker shade for the deepest part of the ocean in my painting. And then I'm gradually adding more green and more white to make it a little bit lighter for the other part. Every time I mix a color, I like to swatch to see if I'm getting the right shade or the shade that I want. In this case, I'm doing it on top of a cured resin piece. Now I just added a little bit of clear resin to the mold, and then I took it out. And why am I using it? Why is it clear? Because I can see the transparency of my paint, if it needs to be a little bit more opaque or if it needs to be a little bit more clear. So this way it's easier for me to have a vision of what I'm doing. As you can see, I've created a beautiful gradient for my painting, and now I'm going to create the sand color, which is tan with a little bit of white, and then I'm going to add more white to create a lighter shade of sand. Make sure your surface is level so the resin doesn't go all into the same spot. And now the fun part, we're gonna start putting our resin on top of our canvas, and I'm starting with the darkest color and I'm creating kind of like a gradient. I'm using the 3 colors of blue, and then in the middle I'm going to use a clear line of resin between the sand and the water. I'm doing this because I don't want my blue to mix with the tan, because it creates a really weird color and I'm not looking for that. So here I'm adding a couple lines of the darkest sand color, and now I'm going to add the lighter. I'm doing this to mix it and give it a little bit of depth, and so it doesn't look all the same color. So once you add your resin, you want to start kind of like mixing it a little so it creates a very nice gradient. Now you don't want to mix it all, you don't want to mix it completely, because if not, it won't look good. But you need to kind of like create a gradient. Here I'm adding a little bit more of the lighter blue. And then I'm trying to create the foam from the last wave that is touching the sand. So you want to add the white kind of like in lines like this. And then we're going to use a heat gun to move the ink around, and it's very important that it has to be a heat gun because the heat will create a reaction between the alcohol, the resin, and the pigment that will eventually create the cells. I'm also using a torch to blow the bubbles. Remember to cover your piece to prevent dust particles to stick to the top. And then after 24 hours, your creation should be rock hard and ready to hang. I am very happy with how this piece turned out. It's very glossy and the colors are very vibrant. And to remove the tape, tip is use your heat gun to get the resin a little bit warm and then take the tape off. And this is what I was talking about earlier about the resin flowing to the sides of the piece. Sometimes if it's still a little bit sticky, you can take it off. If you have a sander, you can sand it down. But for me, I don't mind. I'm gonna leave it as is, but there's things that you can do to fix it. Special thanks to the Epoxy Resin store team for sending me these products to show you. I've used our resin for the past couple of years, but to be honest, it is pricey, and when casting, it remains flexible, which is a big issue with some pieces. This resin becomes rock hard when cured, and it cures really fast. The best thing is the price. 64-ounce kit costs $33 and the gallon only $45. And if you use my coupon code, it will be just $36. Can you imagine all the things that you can do with a gallon of resin? Remember that all the links will be in the description box with the coupon code, so you get the 20% off your entire purchase. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching my videos. I hope you liked this one. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive notifications of new videos. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.